that section is done. Now this one will be big, and I will just go quickly. So this is going to test you how many different types of testing you know, and that will be 1 or 2 lines in your resume that I have done functional testing, I have done regression testing, I have done multi-browser testing, I have done smoke testing, sanity testing, alpha testing, beta testing, whatever. If you are putting those whole bunch of the different types, you should be knowing what that means and what exactly you do in that. So that's also the interview question. Sometimes someone can ask you, oh, can you tell me what is exploratory testing, or what was this or that? And so it's a good list, and a little bit bigger list here, and you have to focus all this terminology. So I'll go one by one. So what is functional testing? Features of the product. So let's take job portal or mentorship portal which you're doing. So what will be the functional testing? Like, you can register with the website, you can log in, all the incorrect logins should not work. You can go to the different sections and you can read the questions, and now you can watch the videos and go in the resumes folder. These are the features, and when you work on that, you test all those functionals. So that's the functional testing. What is system testing? Um, I'll give you a little bit more history, so you can, because some are a little confusing. You have to understand in the context. So let's say when different developers work on the software, there are different modules, and they test their module called unit testing, and then they try to integrate the modules and then make sure each module is working, and that's called the integration testing. So those are done by developers, unit and integration, and then they pass it their whole solution to QA department, and they say you do pretty much end-to-end the solution where all the modules should work and their interaction and integration should work. So that's called the system testing, when you check various functionality, but in the form of like it's like kind of totality. Whatever is available, make sure all are working together. So basically, in system testing, you are doing a functional. You're doing a functionality. The thing. So, but we call that stage called the system testing. So make sure it's working on the operating system correctly. Make sure all the modules are working together. Make sure it is interacting with the database correctly. And all those things. So that's the name is system testing. What is smoke testing? Well, you have to understand the context and when we use that. So let's say let's take the same one like mentorship portal, and it is working right now. Tomorrow we're adding some new modules, and whenever the new builds comes, the build is the software code which keeps coming and installing, and in the whole day multiple builds come and install. So whenever something we install, we want the developer wait and give the tester to make sure make sure the things whatever he developed it's fixed, make sure it looks good before going and testing everything. So that is called smoke testing. Means you not test everything. I'm saying you continue your work, but make sure that part which is just deployed, that looks good, that looks fixed, nothing is and you can continue your work. So that's the name is called smoke testing. And many times generally it's very quick, 5-10 minutes, and you look like so let's say you are testing all the functionality of this portal, and then the new build is coming and someone deploy the code, and then you can say the smoke testing means make sure once something deploy, it is not broken, and you can continue the work from there. There's so you will hear definitely this name a lot, smoke testing, and it should be in your resume, and it should be, in your interview skills, what it is. So um, what is sanity testing? There is a one document in under the different types of testing. There is a good document you can read. Sanity testing is, when something deployed, um, you make sure. How can I give you example? Okay, so let's say, let's say a calculator, there's a calculator software, and it does plus, multiply, division, all these things, the basic operation it does, and you find that plus is not working. 2 plus 3 is giving 7 is not correct because the code written is not correct. So what happened is all the things which you have built on the top of that, like let's say using that calculator, you are calculating what will be your sale taxes, what will be your federal taxes and so on. But you know that the basic operations is malfunctioning, is not correct. So all the others will not work too. So the sanity testing is like, make sure when the things are fixed, overall everything looks good. The sanity, that's, so you just go in the detail. However, the smoke testing is just make sure if the plus sign, if that code is fixed, the plus, you make sure you do some basic things like 2 plus 3 or 4 plus 5, and you say, oh yeah, looks good. It looks like it's working. I'm getting the good result. In 5 minutes, you just add 2, 3 things, and you say it looks good. And then you start going and keep doing all the things again. Like, okay, is it calculating the federal tax correctly? Is it calculating the sales tax correctly? It is calculating the other things using, and that's, so the smoke testing is pretty much, it's a very narrow, just see the reason what is you're fixing is working or not, and sanity testing is make sure all the things looks good, build on the top of that. So there is, it's a crazy in the IT, they use so many terms and confuse you, but they don't call you system testing. They call the smoke testing when you are testing the build. Regression testing, very much you use in your resume and everything. Anything which is tested, you're retesting. So something was tested in January, February, you're again going and testing in April and May and June. The same, what you are testing is the functionality. For example, you tested in January the registration is working, or the links are working. Good. That, the functionality is passed. In February, you testing some new pages and new features, but I'm also telling you, can you go and test all the things which you did in January? So we call that a regression testing. So we do a lot because, regression testing you all the time, and how much regression testing you have to do, it depends on the company, how much money and time they want to, and how much important for the business. And that's why you will find that, you're repeating many times the same test cases, and that's why they want you should automate. So, you can do some other work. What is exploratory testing? As the name suggests, there is not much requirement available. You are learning by exploring. For example, I know I have to go from here to, let's say, Washington D.C., White House. One way is, I have a very exact kind of Google map. Of course, nowadays, you have directions and you follow. Other is, sometimes you have some map, some idea, and then you're exploring and how to reach there. So same thing in testing. You keep the formal way of testing is when you write the test cases and you execute and go test case by test case. That's called the very formal way. And exploring is generally comes after the formal way is done. You just, okay, you tested, let me now go and try to break the registration or logging or searching or buying, or, and keep exploring with, let me click this, let me try this, let me do this, and then see something you can break or something you can find, there's some hidden defects. That's called exploratory testing, so you're exploring without much written test cases and all. So that's why we included here. That the goal is not only follow the process, but sometimes you not follow the process and try to find out the defects. So sometimes it is good to follow the process so you can cover everything and find the defect, and sometimes you don't follow any process and just do arbit random exploring. You should have some experience with the product. Is it Is it like typing as end user? No, it is still done by the testers. Yeah, I mean whatever the end user does exactly, but it is done by the testers. You exploring from different, testing. But again, as I said, you may not have the test cases. It's not a very formal, and you just keep doing. Well, there was one of the interview I was recently taking, and this question was asked. Someone asked, "Well, have you done the exploratory testing? Do you know what do you mean by exploratory testing?" And the guy was in Chicago, and he was answering something. What is usability testing? This is how user friendly is your software. Means how good is your GUI part? The front end. If the GUI is not good, you figure out how to register, you figure out you don't figure where to pay, where to buy, where to search. It's very clumsy and very confusing. You will see people, that's where the product manager play a big role, where they say, even they debate the colors, that this color should be green or this should be red. This should have what kind of, pleasant to the eyes, pleasant to a brain, and easier and navigational and all those things, and they spend a lot of money and time on that. So usability testing is done by a lot of companies too. If you find that they say, okay, good, you guys do your system testing, functionality, regression and all, but we will give to some third-party companies and say, can you do the usability testing, who are very good in, they keep doing number of other companies, and they can suggest you this color is not good, or this menu is not good, or this, this link is blocking the other link, and this is very annoying, and so on. This pop-up should not be here, and it should be at the bottom left and right hand side. So all those things are usability. It's like how good is the front end user. Um, Now, what is user acceptance testing? We call UAT. We also call acceptance testing. Acceptance means what is your accepting criteria? When you as the name suggests, generally the last stage of the testing, which is done by the end users, UAT, and how happy they are, and make sure the BA generally play a role here, involved in some UAT, because BA is the person who interact with the customers, and then we involve the customers too, and they say, can you test it and let us know, so generally the tester role is not much there, except you just standing there and helping the end user if they're asking some questions. Otherwise, you are pretty much observer, and BA and customers are testing and give you the feedback. So generally, we do the UAT. You will hear in the company, all these terminologies. So good. We're still not done. We have some more. What is alpha testing? Um, Well, when you're developing a product, let's say take the again this mentorship portal. When we started developing, I believe 9 months back, when the idea came, and we were not knowing how that idea looks like and what it will be shaped, will take, and whether it will be useful or it will be garbage. So what we do is we create some requirement and we say, let's develop a little bit, not completely everything, and then see how it looks like. So just portion of some features, and that's called the alpha testing, which generally comes in the very early stage of the product, and mostly the developers involved there. Testers, pretty little. Mostly the development group. They create the prototype, they a little bit test and make sure things working, and we call the alpha testing. Um, what is beta testing? See, these names are there, and these they use in the industry, and you should be a little focused when they say, can you go and do the regression testing, or they can definitely ask in interview, you can put in your resume. But and my best advice is you connect with some project, and try to apply. It's not possible that if you work in some department, it's possible that you're only doing the regression testing, you're only doing the functionality testing, or multi-browser or something. It doesn't mean you're doing all the testing at once. But as you are going to the job market, of course, any question can be asked. So, so beta testing is done later stage. Alpha testing is done in the very early stage of the product, where development group play a big role. Beta testing is generally done just before the final release. So you will find sometime, Google or Facebook, not Facebook, but Google, they have come up with some solutions, and they say this product is still in beta version, means we are still testing. We are not selling with the confidence. Means a lot of testing is done, functionality is done, integration is done, unit testing is done, performance is done. We are going to sell maybe from June, but right now it is in beta testing. Means if you want, you can download, you can play with the solution, you can play with the product. But if it is crash something, it's crash your machine or does something, we are not responsible for that because it is still in beta. So that's called beta testing. Who does that? We involve the partners, we involve the end users, and depending what kind of solution, and we just write very clearly that this is in the beta version, and you can still test it and go with that. So okay, so that's what are different types of testing you will recommend for Gmail application. The reason for this question is we wanted to test you how good you are in understanding, just not cramming these definitions, and then so the answer will be the unit testing or integration testing, um, system testing, multi-browser. Maybe you can recommend exploratory testing too. Someone can explore and things, regression testing, performance testing. These are, the testing we recommend. And you think about some other questions like alpha, beta, and all those, how you can apply for Gmail application. Because you all know Gmail, and keep in mind, any solution, Gmail is not developed. Don't think like it is. Gmail is developed what you see today, but they still have a lot of features they keep adding and developing, and they'll keep going, month by month. So new features keep adding, and the old features, when you add the new features, they want to test those. At the same time, they want to test all the old features which is affected by that new feature to make sure those not broken or not causing the issue. So that's why I do the regression testing. Same question, what will you recommend for Amazon.com? My recommendation is try to think about these different kind of testings and try to see why will you do the regression testing for this, why will you do the system testing, what exactly it is, why, and all those things which you're familiar, why the usability testing is needed, and so on. What is non-functional testing? So it's pretty interesting. If you see Gmail or if you see Amazon.com, the whole testing is involved in the feature functionality. All the functionalities are working on that. Non-functional, you may confuse, like, if you say, what is non-functional? So performance testing is a non-functional. When you are hitting with multiple, traffic, and then see how the solution behaves and when it's going to break. Security testing is non-functional testing, and then there are a few more. So be careful. What is functional? What is non-functional? And all the testing which you remember, try to come up with one live project and try to relate with this. And hopefully the pointers which I'm giving in this class, in this lecture, will help you. Um, define manual and automation testing. So again, when you read the question or hear a question, try to understand what it means. So manual and automation makes sense only, uh, uh, it's not like different types of testing. When the tester is testing, then it is called manual testing, and when the tool is testing, then it's called the automation testing. So when tester is opening, let's say you are testing my this mentorship portal, and you testing the registration, or you testing the login, or you testing various kind of features inside the portal. Means you are logging, you are using your brain, your eyes, your hand, all those things, you clicking, and that's the manual testing. And when we will replace you and we say we don't need you anymore, the tool will open the website, the tool will open the registration page, will fill up all the data, and it will say pass or fail. Then it is called automation testing. Same thing like, if you do all your household activities, cooking, cleaning and all, you're doing manually. And when you buy a tool or create a robot or something like that, which that does everything for you, then it's automated. Of course, someone has to create that, the same thing. All the work which our tool will do, that will be generated by automation test engineer. So that person has to teach to the tool how to do that work. And but actually the testing will be done by a tool. When the tool is testing, you're not supposed to be opening the website and um, inputting everything and telling working or not. Then there's no point of automation. So those who have done have some idea. Those who have not done, they may be surprised over how that happens. So the problem is there's no perfect tool who can do everything. Otherwise, we don't need you, and the tool can do everything. So not done yet. Uh, difference between differentiate between white box and black box testing. So this is another new terminology. You have to understand what is white box and what is black box. So when you not care about internal logic, you just give the input and you get the output. That is called black box testing. So when you're testing the functionality, you're pretty much doing the black box testing. You give the input and you hit the login and see that it's working or not. If it's not working, you don't care about why it is not working. But if you're doing a white box testing, you should care about that. You should know, you should go inside the code, you can look there, oh, this loop is there, or condition is not correct, or something, whatever. Then it's a white box testing. So pretty much testers, doing a black box testing, and the developers are doing the white box testing, because they do integration and unit testing. What is gray box testing? Is somewhere sitting between black box and white box. These two are the extreme, where black box is completely input and output, and white box is more going inside the coding. And then there's someone where kind of mix of both is a gray box testing. More functionality, a little bit coding, and you're just going and looking those things. So, well, I'm surprised that still I didn't find some not as complete list. I did not find the questions on performance testing. I did not see the question on security testing and some other kind of testing. So this list is maybe we can add some more questions, and but whatever it is, at least you should know all these testing. So when you done the manual testing, which pretty much everyone who is here has completed, I'm expecting all these questions and answer you should able to speak pretty well. I don't need only the answer, I need a very good answers. So that's my expectation, and I hope you fulfill that expectation. All right, so Well, I underestimated. I thought I will finish it, but looks like not. There are